Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can draw and paint this adorable shabby chic snowman. This is a very beginner friendly painting. I am going to be breaking it down step by step. The only reason it's even at the beginner level 2 Hoots, which is just a little bit more challenging than 1 Hoot, is because I'm using zinc and a splatter technique. And there's just a few more layers. That's why up there, it's actually super, super beginner friendly. And I'm going to break out and explain a little bit about perspective on a snowman's face so that you can get a better result out of your snowman if you're freehanding. If you're not freehanding, guess what?
What?
There's Traceable and you can download it. It's totally free. And also today for a day, we have a code for the art store to get $10 off, which essentially makes shipping free for orders over $34.99. And the code is Snowman Free Shipping, all one word. And the mods will share it in the chat. And I also posted it in the community tab over here and texted it out. So, and I'll make sure you guys get a reminder in the text on that there, because we're going to be using some fun stuff and maybe you want to grab it at a discount. We finally figured out how to make one work.
So, do you know what happened?
Or we hope it works. The kids show over here didn't work. I'm going to have to re-upload it, but I think I figured out what YouTube is going to be all about. So still on Facebook if you want to go catch it. It just, YouTube was like, you ever seen something like new put in a highly territorial animal's like little enclosure and how it's like it sniffins and sniffins and sniffins and sniffins and sniffins because it's like it's not sure. It's like YouTube was doing some of that stuff, so I was like, all right, let's put it up in a different way. So that's going on. So today I'm going to break this down step by step. I'm going to tell you the materials. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to create this for yourself and provide it all for you. You can find it all on our website. You've got that code, which is Snowman Free Shipping, but it's only good for like a day. And we'll try to, when we have live shows, to do codes whenever we can.
Yeah.
All right. So this is our little reference. I'm going to put him over to the side. So cute. Bye-bye, Mr. Snowman. I have an 8x8 surface here. On a stretch canvas, this is the classic cotton from Art Alternatives, which I really, really, really like. On my palette, and the materials are in the description below, so if you want to see those materials, you can open it up and see those. Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Cad Red, Cad Yellow, Yellow Ochre, Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine Blue, Mars Black. On the whites, this is zinc white, the center is titanium white. So these are the two whites I am doing here. This is a transparent white, this is an opaque white. The transparent white just makes a nice job kind of shading and aging out our snowman. It's very nice. If you don't want to use that, you can try to get a transparent enough titanium white with your satin glazing liquid, which I certainly have in the past and can do, and I'm sure you can too. You can do gloss or satin. That part's not important. It's the golden glazing liquid. What does it do? It slows down how fast our paint dries, and it lets us glaze. Do other products with the same name do this? No. Some of them make our paint dry faster and only let us glaze. So it's very important that you're looking for something that says slow drying extender for acrylic colors. If it doesn't say slow drying, then you've got the other kind, and that is going to be a bit fast. I've also got some fluid acrylic. So basically it's the same color as this, but the pigment, that's the colorant, is in a very fluid, watery kind of application, so I can do better snow splatter. And to that end, I also have a splatter brush. This is from my first line of brushes that I did. And if you ever see it, grab it. Even though it's all chipped up, it's actually a real brush. It has the Sherpa filament in it, and it does perfect splatter. It was in my Galaxy set. Maybe the brush guys have it. I don't know. I wish we had it on our website. It's just probably out anywhere.
I think they're all done.
Try a very stiff toothbrush. One, if it's too stiff to put in your mouth, it's about the right stiff for your canvas.
I'll give you some inside information.
Yeah?
I'm having a meeting this evening about brushes.
Are you?
I am.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to probably have you write somebody at some point.
we got some, we'll have some
I am getting some paint off of my hands. The other thing you're going to see me use is this bottle. Just water. I will let you know if I put an additive in my water, if I do something specific that changes my experience so that you know when that's happening. I won't hide that from you because then you can't learn. And this isn't the watch me paint show. So the titanium white, zinc, and I may put this out later, and I put this out for nice blending. So I'm going to put it out now. I have been using the satin lately because it's easier for our video cameras to see, the gloss makes your paint have a shiny finish. The satin makes your paint have a matte finish, just up to your preference. My goodness, have I been wordy. Let's throw up a step. So I think the first step is that I'm going to paint in kind of the background. I'm not going to show you how to draw the snowman until we're ready to do the traceable part of it. I'm going to grab, and this is one I'm going to put up. I got some really heartfelt, wonderful, good faith questions about this brush. So I'm going to put up a video that's just all about how to get better results out of this brush and what could be going wrong. This is the 1-inch Princeton Oval Mop. It is fantastic when you understand how it works. Makes so many jobs in acrylic easy. If you buy the wrong one from this line, the black one or the white one, then you've bought natural hair, and that can be much harder. This is the synthetic one. This is the brown, rust brown with the dark tip. See how it's got kind of a rust brown tint to it? I've got several different here. This one is like not as dirty, right? So that's it over time. And I've noticed they change even the color of the tack line coming out. But what I like is the synthetic because it doesn't hold as much water. Now, instead of getting it in water, I'm going to put it in my glazing medium. If you don't have glazing medium, no worries. You can just use water. And then I'm going to load up some white. What does this do? This keeps my paint from drying out so fast and improves the blending time. Now I'm going to grab burnt sienna. I'm still using that 1-inch, and I'm going to grab ultramarine blue. And if you've been painting with me for a minute, you're very familiar with this particular gray. And you can see with the glazing medium, it's just so easy to get it out in a soft application, our ready player layer 1 kind of application.
No, you just got to paint that in all over the place.
Well, I'm going to paint it in loosely. It's not a solid color this time. It's a bit of a blended color, which is why I'm using that blending medium and all the things that I'm using so I can get my kind of snowy application going.
While you're doing that, can I tell you something fun?
You can always tell me something fun because I can't see the chat today, guys. I am live. I'm live. But I can't see the chat.
Well, before we were even getting our live buttons pushed, Tiffany and Bree were amazingly generous.
Thank you, Tiffany and Bree.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. And then there were several other super chats and comments here, guys. Thank you all for being part of our community. Thank you for being part of this and supporting us. We really appreciate it, and the efforts in the new show. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Oh gosh, really. We've figured it out with YouTube. We know what we're gonna do. We're coming back. And again, they're on our website and they're on Facebook, and we're gonna have them. We'll get them fixed and get them uploaded over to YouTube as soon as we can. And then we just figured out what our deal is. What we're talking about, if you don't know, is I have a kids show I'm starting.
Yeah.
And as you know, YouTube had some. Well, they had some karma. In my opinion, it was just plain karma. They were running targeted ads on kids, and a bunch of unscrupulous people got online, and they were using cartoon characters in crazy violent situations and strange situations to attract the viewership of kids where they were running ads. And it just was a big problem. And so now there's all these rules, which actually as a parent, I celebrate. So I don't mind that it's been challenging for me to get this out going, because I want my kids to be safe. I want your kids to be safe, and where we got online stuff, it's important. So when you hear me even talking about the challenges, just know that I don't even mind the challenges. See how blendy that is?
I do.
All right, I'm going to rinse my brush out a little bit. Let's call this a step, and I'm not going to dry it. I'm going to actually come back in a little bit. I'm going to take my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to make a nice gray. It can be a little more biased to the brown, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little titanium white here, and I'm going to start to do this light background. See how I'm doing? Adding a little bit of tonality here. It's darker, isn't it, up here now?
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is to get everything in here dark enough so that he shows. Paint the sides if you want. and I go over my areas again. If you're having trouble going over, if you have a second soft brush, let me show you a trick. See how that accomplishes the blending? So sometimes if your brush is too wet or has too much product on it, it won't come in even soft blending. If you have a second, I can do this with a fan. I can do this with any soft brush. I have dollar wash brushes that don't shed, right? Like in the packs that are soft, too soft to paint with acrylic, make great blending brushes in the flats. So you've just got that. See how I've just got this just diffused background, which is so hard to get in acrylic paint, is to get enough of a diffusion on the background for the painting to work. Now I will rinse both of these out and dry my canvas and sip my coffee and let John talk to you about our coupon code and our kids show and all the fun stuff and future big classes.
So guys, thank you all for being part here. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm going to go back up here. There's a joke here that I'm going to have to catch up on. I'm going to have to say happy birthday to everybody. And then I'll see here, DB, I'll get your question here as well. I want to make sure I got all this stuff in here. Don't worry if you have to get caught on a commercial during the break in the live. They have to add those now. We're trying to make sure that we only get them at the hair drying break, so that if you get bumped away, then don't worry, they'll be back. You're not going to miss anything. Just me just sort of monologuing like a co-host. And thank you, by the way, because all of those little things, you know, all you do, the comments, the likes, subscribes, the shares, it all makes everything here so much better for us.
Oh, I'm still doing my thing. You're good.
You're still doing your thing?
I'm still doing my thing. I'm rinsing out my brushes, both of them, and I'm going to towel them off. I'm rinsing off my brushes, and I'm going to towel them off with a paint towel. See, I keep paint towels around, and that's how I keep the moisture out of my brushes. This is also a thing. So my paint towel is actually also protection, believe it or not, for the environment. By wiping off my brushes on the paper towel and on my towel before I even put it in the brush bucket, I'm not putting as much of the acrylic polymer in my water. And then if you do a crash solid separation at the end, you can pull all that, even plastics, out of the water if you want to. So those are like things that you can do. Now let's talk about the snowman.
All right, you ready for your next step?
I feel like I am. All right, this is the 1264 Fabriano pad, and I'm going to use it to see this right here. This is a multi-media one. I'm going to use it to kind of show you some things. Let's get our little pencil cup together. And I've got my little gummy eraser. I got my little assortment of every art pencil on the planet. And of course, the handy dandy Sharpie. So first, I'm going to just talk a little bit about what we've got going on for our snowman. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create a little circle that represents a little snowman head. And sometimes I like to go around. So because I don't practice my overhand grip or my underhand grip enough, which are alternate grips in art. I tend to do the circle that I do the Mark Esler circle. I go around and around the circle just till I feel like it's great. Yeah, you can draw a box and draw a circle in it. But then you have to erase the box and you have to think about that. And it's just nice to work on eyeballing it. The other thing that you can do if you're really circle challenged is to find a circle that is almost the size you want and then trace over it to get a sense of it. So like, to say that that's easier than you think, look how I can do here. See, and then I can check my circle. So that is just something that I can do. I also like gummy erasers because they can erase without damaging the canvas or the paper. I like that very much about them. So draw your circle. And if you think of the nose as being where your perspective is, right? So if I have a nose that's going to be in the center, off center right here, then I need to bend a line. Actually, I might be able to do this just with pen. You don't need to struggle to see my pencil. Right. So then if I have a line dash, 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 dash coming here, then I know what the perspective is even on my face. So we know the eyes will be through here, and then we've got the nose, which is there, and then of course we've got the mouth, which comes through here. And so I can actually use that to keep my perspective. And then if I'm going to have a nice big ball, it's a 2-ball snowman. And on 2-ball snowman, you want to kind of have the second ball not be a perfect circle. I egg it a little bit. And then if there is these dots here, guess what? Same. That's how you line up the face and the snowman and put him in the right direction. The same sort of truth. Now I can make a little circle here. And I'll make another one farther over here. So I'm really exaggerating that. And do a little half circle. You can take the carrot past his face or not. And then all I have to do is put in a little smile. You make that big or small, whatever you want. I got little cheeks. I got a little hat here. Make a little arc up over it and then down. We're not haberdashers. We're not Halston. We don't gotta be worried about it, okay? Wherever Halston is, like, let's channel our inner Halston and at least do a good job on a hat. Halston was a designer that started out in hats. And, you know, we got our nice little flowers here, which we can put there. And then, of course, our band, right? So now we've got that. That's pretty good. Sometimes I like to give my snowmen, snow people, some warmth. I get very concerned for them. So the trick is I do a little bump like that. And then I come here and I do another bump like that. And then on the back, I'll come here. And then I'll come forward to just about an inch forward. And then I want to make a line that comes down. Parallel line coming down. You see how that lets me put the scarf up over?
I do.
That folded that out, right? You can easily do a second one, but I've tied his little scarf on 2 sides. So there's one tie coming off here and another little tie coming off here, right? And then it can be nice to sort of give them little... I think snowmen are a lot like ghosties.
When you're done drawing there, we'll take a break here. I got so much to tell you.
Okay, I'm going to do another little thing. Oh, you got stuff to tell me that's
I just don't want to break your concentration.
So see how I did that? The buttons are kind of in perspective. So how you do the perspective in the buttons is you make an oval. 2 lines down, follow the oval. If one side is dark, you can see that perspective's the button. It's just basically a cone, you know, the old perspective where you do 2 little, and then you join the line, and then you have a cylinder. Which I just messed up my cylinder, but you have a cylinder. And then squishing or playing, you can make the cylinders long or short, but you can see this line and this line are the same. And then this is that convex. And so if you color that and you color that, it's pretty easy to see your cylinders. So your buttons are a cylinder. Now, your little arms, last little things. I do like to put a little gesture here. So what I'll do is I'll come and put a little twig out. And you see how I join it there? I create a kind of elbow jointing.
Yeah.
With my twig. And then I'm going to make a little extra little twig there. So I like to give that implication that there's a hand. Isn't that wild how it kind of is like, I'm a hand, you know? And then we've got a little bit of my little twig coming out here. I think sometimes it's nice to kind of give it a little branch that goes off. Right, so just a little bit of that holding the flowers, and then of course the one that's flowing forward, if you do the flowers first and then you put that other one there, you can add the center. And then I think it's nice to have some little things going down and then little ribbons and little things happening all there. So that is how, and then you just, you know, add a snowbank to him and he starts to live in his world. So that's how you draw a snowman. Let's paint one. You can use the traceable here, or you can freehand him in.
So let's call
I'm
this.
going to freehand him in while John tells me, since I just showed you how to draw it, we're going to call this a new step,
Yeah.
freehanding it in. And then John will tell me what it is. If you're looking for the how to draw, that was in the previous step, and I have a traceable.
So I'm going to say a big thanks to Jeanette.
Thank you, Jeanette.
She sent a really generous amount of support here saying, blessing and abundance to everyone. Thank you, John, Cinnamon and John, for all that you do.
Thank
and
you
I want to
so
say
much.
thank you. And there's so many good jokes that have gone by here, guys. I have just enjoyed it and just been enjoying those. And
I'm going to take just white and yellow ochre to sketch my snowman.
Here's our new step.
So I know that I need to leave room for my hat up here, and I might make a mark there. And I know I need to leave some room on either side of him here. So I make little light marks there. That's just to spatially help me out. This helps you too if you're putting the traceable in. It lets you know where the spacing is. All right, so we got almost the center. I'm going to kind of place the head. I haven't finished the background, so this gives me a little room on my sketching in, if that makes sense. Thank you so much for all the support you guys are giving, showing up for the shows, signing up for texts, you know, joining the patronage. Just all that stuff is just amazing. And it really, really, really helps. And I'm super excited about all, like our first Zoom class and consulting and all those things. So. You know, you can have a very weighted snowman if you wanted. Or you can have a skinny snowman. I don't judge your I'm not here to judge your snowman. I'm not here to judge your snowman. Sorry, I'm inspired by Luna, who's been writing, like, do you want to paint a snowman songs since she saw this.
Yep.
And so I just like to kind of get a sense of scale for things. Putting in the hat. See, from here, I can easily paint out anything I don't like. If I want to change my mind on anything, I can. Change any, you know, it's just very negotiable right now. Is there anything else you wanted to share while we're sketching in, sir? I did not know.
There were, I'd have to go back in here. I've been really just enjoying, there was a bunch of jokes that came in here and was from everybody. And
were they good snowman jokes? I enjoy a good snowman
There were
joke.
snowman jokes, and I'll see if I can go back and capture some of them for later. But it's been lovely. And for those who are here for the first time and they've seen ads for the first time, that's a new YouTube thing they started doing on lives, and we try to make it so that they only happen at the break when we do hair drying, but that doesn't always happen that way because YouTube doesn't always listen to when we try to signal for that. So just know that we're doing our best to work with the tools we're given.
I'm using a filbert and I'm just painting my snowman sort of in. So I can just see the scale. And sometimes we just paint our snowman in just to see scale. How does he look in the world? And it's okay if it's yellow snow. I know you've been told in the past, no yellow snow, but sometimes a little bit of a yellow vintagey snow is very nice. And so we're going to enjoy our yellow snow. And this is just really a painter's way of saying, there's this here, and I want to keep it there. So that's why I like to paint it in. Kind of like right now, I can get some glazing medium if I want the paint to go further. That's another thing it does is extends the paint. So if you ever had it where it feels like the paint isn't coming off your brush, sometimes the glazing medium can help with that. You can see I come through and sort of really shape and think about my snowman body now. Bringing that around. Whether you draw or whether you use the traceable, as long as you're painting, you're still picking up more than you know about how these things all work together. Now up at the hat, I might possibly do kind of a brown and a black, and then I'm going to just check my scale real quick and make sure I'm happy with that. I like that line. That's a good line. Easy to round. think we can bring the body down a little bit.
Also, I did want to give a shout out to Andy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Andy's birthday?
Yeah.
Andy? Hi, Andy. Happy birthday.
And thank you, Amy, for celebrating happy birthday to Amy as well. Oh, Andy. Andy and Amy and A names getting mixed up in my brain.
The A names are representing today. Bringing it. So see how I curve my brush strokes across there? Curve, 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 curve. That is a very important thing. That helps him feel very, very rounded. And by just adding slowly, I can make adjustments, can't I? Very, very easily. And if you weren't aware, you can come in with the background color. And erase. See how I just made the background color again? And I kind of dropped the neck down. And that is just a reason why you don't have to be too stressed. But that's really all it takes to get him in. It's just this little sketchy sketch. And you can kind of come in on the hat if you want to and clean up the hat. Sometimes I will. Just using my filbert. This is a Isabey Isacryl brush. And this line of brushes is quite a nice line of brushes, guys. I like them a lot. So see how I can kind of clean up around the hat? And then I can scumble and blend it out, and then it's not too bad. All right, that's looking pretty good. I think we have him in enough to continue on.
Yeah? Ready for your next step? Or are you going to...
I think I am ready for my next step.
Or is he good?
Doesn't need to dry because we're going to come back in the background, and we're going to kind of work a little bit of this back here. Now, I'm going to take my mop brush again. This is my 1-inch mop, and I'm going to load up my glazing medium. I'll get a little blue here into my mix and a little brown, but I do like it to be a little more blue. I mean, it's okay to come up a little bit over your snowman. You know where it is now. And I'm just bringing in blue. The under canvas is showing quite a lot. You can, sometimes I like to get into the zinc up here too, because it gives me a very soft sky. So you can use your zinc here at this stage or your titanium white. Either is fine. More glazing medium. So like if I get it and it's all dry and it's not blending out, then I might get more glazing medium in, and you can see I'm keeping it just all right, brown and ultramarine blue to make that gray again. It will come on the outside a little bit, kind of darken those little corners, those little edges, making that kind of implied, you know, a little bit of a light in the tunnel kind of a thing. And I'll go right up to the hat. But remember, I can put the hat back really easily. Now that I have everything in, I don't really got to worry about it that much. Come here. And then we're going to come under him. To put the little snowbank in front, I have to have value changes, right? I have to be able to say, all right, oh, back here, let's put a little more blue. We're going to say that there's a bit of a bank coming up there, and there's a bit of a bank coming up there. So it's slightly darker, but very misty. And that's what's hard for people with acrylic. Misty. And that's what the tools are for. And again, I'm going to put up, be sure and hit subscribe and put up a live stream where we practice our mop brushes and we talk about those and we like troubleshoot them. I do that in the retreat sometime and it's real nice. It helps people. And I think we'll kind of include that in our lives. I absolutely put my good round out here and now have not got it anywhere. I don't know where it is. Isn't that crazy?
Which one are you looking for?
The one I'm trying to get more of, the number 4 from the sepia line. I washed it. I know oh, you know what? Something dropped off the back. That's what it was.
Could be.
I dropped my brush. I heard one fall. They make a little noise. Don't get your face in the paint. Don't get your face in the paint. I'm going to get my face in the paint.
Don't do that.
I don't.
Where's your little grippier thing?
It's over here.
That convenient grippier thing that you have right there?
I don't know. They say stretch your body. I think it's that I didn't know it was
Are
there.
we still in the same step?
I don't know, man. Yes.
I think that this is
no, this is a new step. I've got to dry and everything. I just lost my brush.
We'll call this a new step because
We're going to call this a new step because that was just wild.
That was all sorts of fun.
That was just too much fun. All right, let's dry everything.
You could dry that.
So that way we can rest our hands.
All right. Need to cough there. So thank you guys for coming, being part of our Sherpa family. It's so nice to see everybody here on a Thursday afternoon. Oh my goodness, there's so many of us. And it is the first snowman of the snow time. And what I would say is I was shocked that here in Michigan on October 30th, we had a little snow flurry that went and blew over, and it was like, were those snowflakes that just fell? And then that night it said, oh yes, those were, and we're going to sprinkle some like fairy dust all over the top of your car. And you come out and there was little snows all over it. So Halloween day we had a little bit of snows, and it was kind of nice. Just a little warning of snows to come.
I think I should make a 1-minute video of how to draw that snowman. That was a pretty good video. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Cinnamon wanting us to get more coffee for her.
Yeah, I do want more coffee. So now I have the brush I went to all that trouble looking for. And it is a number 6 Raphael Sepia. Why did I care? Because it has a nice point. When you have a round brush, you want it to have such a nice sharp point that when you make lines, they don't become grasses. If you ever had it where your round brush sort of opens up and makes a bunch of little lines, that's super annoying. Yes, you can. So much you can. So much you can. I'm going to get my brush wet. Dry it off on a paper towel. I'm going to get a little bit of little brown and black for sure. And then I'm going to get my ultramarine blue involved in there. Put some glazing in. We're going to see if we can't get a little distant tree. Now I'm going to make an upward brush stroke. And then at the top, it'll start to bend over. So see, I'm going to bend it. Add a little bend out. You can get a little bit of your zinc in here if you need it, and a little more brown and blue, because the trees should represent kind of like what the background is, just a little darker. When we're painting trees, we want them to be thicker at the bottom than at the top. Now, at the bottom, I'm doing an interesting thing. I'm going to add a lot more glaze, if you'll notice, and that will allow it to be a little transparent. This is going to help me later because I'm going to want to blend my little tree into the world. Little branch out. Notice I roll the paint into the toe of the brush. Now we just add little branches out to it. Just adding little twiggles out. I'll even take a twig. You can go around the canvas if you want. That's okay. You just want to make sure that the tree feels like it exists here on your painting and then also in the world outside of it, even though it totally doesn't. Just little arcing branches up. A little bit of glaze. So it's just a little bit distant, maybe perhaps. See how that just makes it pale? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's nice to bring little twigs back. There's so many little twigs in winter. So these are fine little lines. Notice that they curve and curl. That really helps them appear to be the dead winter wood that they are, except they're not really dead. They're alive under the ground. Very often they're alive. It's so fun and easy to put them in. Put a little bit here and there. Rinse out. We're going to call it a new step. New step. All right, new step is going to be, we're going to really love our round blender today. This is the number 12 Princeton Select round blender. We're going to love it so much. I'm going to take a little bit of my Ultramarine blue and a little bit of my burnt sienna. Let's get some zinc on there. And I'm going to come in and kind of smidge into a mist. Can you see how I'm putting it back in the mist? Come over here and mist it up. It's nice to mist up your twigs. A little bit of glazing medium. Come through here and brush down. We've got a area we're going to bring in front of this, but that curvature that creates motion or depth, and so we're going to let that work for us for a minute, even though we know we're going to put hills back. Now I can go get a little of my brown and blue again in my zinc and make sure that this is all very misty. Even add some of that here. Call that a step. Let it dry. We don't need to dry or anything. And we're going to light our little snowman. You will notice the shadow coming off the carrot at an angle, and then this shadow at an angle coming down. That sort of implies if you follow a shadow, that gives you an implication of light. So this carrot, this is our sundown, that kind of basically says we have a light source up here that's bright enough that it's causing a shadow. And you can get that in winter, these desaturated days that you will have shading. But right now what we can do is we can start to shade our balls. So I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow ochre and my burnt sienna, titanium white, and glazing medium, and I'm still on the number 12. This is going to give me a very soft blended little body. If I need zinc, I get it right in here. Zinc is nice because it lightens without changing the color. So when you need to keep it the same color but lighten it a hair, zinc is a great way to go. Right now we're kind of in our darker playing with the directionality of these brush strokes. Right, now if I come here and I get into my dark color, which was my ultramarine and my burnt sienna and just a smidge of the black, I can come on the back. And start to blend. The snowball. And you can see I use a kind of circular, it's not circles, but there is a curve to the brushstroke that goes this way and kind of just flicks up. And this is another way of just sort of softly blending or working what you have. And come under my hat just a little bit and down the ball at an angle. While it's having a dry, I will wipe off my brush on my paper towel, and I might get some of my white, my My titanium white, maybe a little burnt sienna into it because I don't ever want it to be white yet. We're keeping this very aged and antique looking. Just highlighting and shading. The brightest colors will be over here on the left-hand side, and the darkest will be over on the right-hand side. There'll be an angle to that because of where we set our pretend light. It is pretend light, we know that. And the warm off-white or eggshell color of the snow is actually part of what helps it feel a little shabby chic to us. And we're just kind of blending the start of our snowball up top. I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit. Sometimes I rinse out because it lets you come back at it in a new way. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my zinc and that. Kind of come back here and blend those two values. Also under that hat, a little bit more of that. And you can kind of think about adding a little bit of a shading to the bottom. See how we're doing? We're just thinking about how light doesn't travel through solid objects. It's really all we're observing as artists as we're sitting there going, you know, what I barely ever see is light traveling through solid objects. So I have to create shadow. There has to be shadow under him. There has to be shadow around him. And the transitioning of that shadow helps me give him shape. Now I do want to dry everything pretty soon, but first I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue and a little bit of my burnt sienna. Just creating kind of a shadow color. I know I'm bringing a nice little mountain in front of him, but having some shading under him will, for the little parts of him that peek out, we will care. Dry everything, and then when you come back, we're going to add the next layer.
Dry.
Dry.
There we go. And thank you guys for bearing with us. We love seeing everybody here. It is really, really helpful. If you need any resources, they're available on our website. You can find that at theartsherpa.com. We have a calendar there. We have the traceables there. The landing project pages are all there. Certainly, all those tools, if you need anything, we try to keep them there. And we keep those links in the description down below for you as well, if you're having those questions. Can you paint acrylic on styrofoam? I believe so.
Yeah, you can. Sometimes you need to do a preparatory medium on styrofoam. And you can get those both in the art store and in the hardware store. Okay. I imagine the hardware store has a preparatory paint for styrofoam as well. That may be just whenever you go get art products from the hardware store, you're a flow troll. And if no one said this to you, I'm so sorry. Read the material and data safety sheet. Yeah. Because artists use materials in a way that the hardware store is not at all considering you will do. And the material and safety sheet will let you know if you're about to like end your own life with something that would be fine for an art product, but isn't fine for what seems like a similar product in house paint. All right. I'm going to come here. I've got my number 0 Raphael d'Artagnan D brush. You don't have to have a D brush. I'm just using it because it's nice and scruffy. And I'm going to begin making little scruffs on the hat. I'm going to pay attention to the directionality of the brim. My brush strokes are short and scratchy, and they're going to help me really make this hat feel like a nice scratchy hat. Now, where I want to get a sharp edge when I'm using a D, I'm going to use that edge, that sharp edge, and then where I want to blend or scruff up, I'm going to use the fluffy bit. You don't have to do that. You see right away it starts to shape out the hat though. Little bit of burnt sienna, yellow ochre, short strokes. And then we're going to follow the brim. And I may even smooth out that hat with my round brush. Let this all have a rest for a second. Let's get the round brush and clean up some stuff on our snowman. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little yellow ochre and Mars black for a second. See how that smooth stroke improves that line? If I'm having any trouble getting flow off the brush, I just dip my brush in water. I am doing this because I very, very much want my hat to have crisp edges. Now I'm going to go here, I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and my phthalo blue. I'm going to come across that hat band with one stroke and I curve it a little bit. Notice that that curve sort of matches the curves on the hat. It's that perspective that I'm adding in, even though I'm just painting in. I'm still thinking about those things. Now I'm going to also make a little pull stroke. Kind of implying that flower that's there. And you'll remember what we do there. We go a little bump, a little bump. And now this time I don't necessarily have to worry so much about the way I layer the line because I'm not drawing and painting. And so the layering is sort of automatic, but I still will be aware of it. I just grab some blending medium, not to blend, but to improve the flow of my paint. The trick with the scarf is I'm going to try to keep it the same width. Right, now once I have that there, I'll come over about a 1/4 of an inch. Paint that down. I'm not going to worry about the fringe till I have him painted a little more thoughtfully. But I do want to put that scarf here. And there's that scarf there. And they're kind of like at the same height on how they're tied. I can always get a little bit of my snowman color and make sure that we're set there. Just making sure I've got a nice crisp edge that's bright. Okay, to do anything else, I do want to dry it before the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, little dry break. And while we're doing that, I'm going to say it is... what am I going to say? I don't know. I got to find something to say while you guys are at the little hair drying break, because I don't want to say anything like super valuable, because I know that there's going to be some people away to commercial break. So, I don't know, it's kind of like just fill in the airspace with whatever. But it's going to be back. She's going to be back shortly. And you can kind of listen to me go, whatever am I going to say? I have no idea. So, look at that. She was back fast. So I was so fast. I didn't even have to think about anything. What to think of saying. But our other friends will probably be back for their commercially breaks, and then we'll be able to go. Now we're on to step 10.
Then I will wait.
10.
10. All right, so I'm going to take some ultramarine blue, and some burnt sienna. I'm going to wipe it off on my paper towel because I just want a light pigment load. And I'm going to come over to my zinc. And you could use titanium white if you don't have zinc. I'm going to take a little bit of that transparent white and just lightly brush some snowbank. And then where I want to, see how I can smidge it? So there's some like little snow misters, but then there's definitely some snowbank. It's so cool. Snow color, snow color, snow color. Again, smidge, smidge, smidge. See how I can little mist up. If I curl it up, that can kind of mist that up all around those trees. But then I can also kind of be like, no, no, no. There's some distant little, some little snow coming back here. That's pretty wonderful, that distant little snow. But then if I come forward, a little more zinc. A little more titanium white maybe over here. See how where you balance the titanium white out with the zinc, it helps create that feeling of the snow?
Yeah.
A little bit of that gray into that zinc, and I can go even darker so I can have some personality. It'll be very important what you leave unpainted. Wipe your brush off. I'm going to come back in with some just white. Now pull just a little bit down, but not too much. That's all I need to do on that step. I'm going to come back into my blending brush and I'm going to get a little bit of my zinc. I'm just going to come right here, right over it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's rinsed out. I'm just making sure that I've got nice lighting. So my basic snowman is a little bit of my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre and white, either titanium white or zinc white. And then my shadow snowman has got the ultramarine blue into that instead. So that really, really lets me create this sort of vintagey, super fun lighting. I'm going to focus my highlight right here and here. Kind of below the hat so that there's a bit of a shadow cast on the hat, but there's some light there. And there's some here. That's what we're just talking about, is that some of Mr. Snowman super, super lit up. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna. I want it to be more gray, go more burnt sienna. Kind of do a strong shadow here.
Yeah.
That's too much of that pigment. So when that happens, I'm going to get a little bit more blue in there. And I'm just going to work it out on the canvas. It's actually not going to mess with me by the time I'm done. Sometimes that'll happen. You'll have an unexpected little pop of pigment where you didn't mean to. So what you can see I'm doing here is I'm just smidging it out. Little bit of my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna, and I'm going to take my little round brush and I'm going to just make sure that at first there's like some little line back here, and then I'll paint it away. You know how we thin the line when we paint it? But I want a bit of that sort of anchored there. While that's having a dry, let's call it a new step.
All right, new step.
And I'm going to take a little bit of my Mars Black and my my Mars Black and my Cad Red medium. Now, do you remember our little line right there in the face? Paint the shadow of my carrot. This is the darkest of the part of the carrot. So that'll be the shadow color on the carrot. And then I'm going to get my brush very, very, very pointed. I'll get some black paint. Just making sure it's coming off my brush well. Just a little upward oval. And a little upward oval. Maybe a little bit under my carrot. And kind of around. Kind of a little outline. So I just took a little water and kind of thinning it. And that's just because I want it to flow off the brush nicely so I get a fine line without having to use like a paint pen or something. Far on this side, a little mark. And then over on this side, another curve mark. That's not bad. All right. Same. Right? I would come right down like that. So let's put that first. Right, so we're doing them in perspective. We know we're going to highlight the ellipse at the top. Straight line, curve lines. That's how we're getting that perspective on that. Okay, last thing, we're going to take a little bit of this Cad Red and a lot of that Zinky Zinc White, or you could do Titanium White. I'm going to make a little round cheeky circle. Because, you know, if you're outside in the snow, you got rosy cheeks. Just come across, make it a little cheeky circle. And then rinse that. Let's call it a new step. While all this is having a thought or a dry or think about itself, I'm going to go ahead and check the scarf. And the reason I'm going to check the scarf now is so that I can layer the thing on it. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch angle. You should use a small, tiny, square, sharp brush. Doesn't have to be an angle brush. This is an angle. It could be a bright, could be an angle, but you want a sharp one that gives you lots and lots and lots of control. I'm going to take a little bit of my Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green and mix them together and glaze over the top of the scarf, which you can see sort of deepens the color. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a little zinc white and I'm going to make a square. Let's get maybe a little titanium. I think we need a brighter white so we can really see it. Staggering that down to create the check. So how we just made that check happen there? So fun. It doesn't even have to be perfect patterning. It's just sort of making the pattern works. Sometimes like that little side one, it's a little harder to get those little moments, but you just get in there and you get them. I'm going to go ahead and get maybe a little more white on here. Sometimes I'll come back and kind of enforce the squares a different direction because it helps. All right, let's call that a stepper. We're going to leave that alone for just a second. While we're letting that have a think, we're going to come back up to our little hat up here. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad yellow and my yellow ochre, and I get some titanium white into it. I went back because I didn't think my load was right, and I wanted to improve my load. I also see that I've got some green in there. It's almost a dry brush, and I am paying attention to the curve. I'm going to take a little bit of my red and yellow together. Pull a little orange back there. Just something to peek through. You can take a little bit of cad yellow, yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Get a little bit of yellow ochre, Mars black, just kind of working these two little colors out. Just thinking about the shadows. See how I'm making short strokes? These are short strokes. Let's look at the nature. And this drawing lesson was earlier in the video, but it is there. I'll do the back side of this. So these are almost like, see how they're very textural and streaky, and they do the work, they paint the hat. So that's what's going on here. A little bit of yellow ochre. I'm just going to kind of bring that back. Get a little bit of our Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue together. I'm adding the little flower back in because, like, it's just pulling in the little petals. I gotta know, right? I just gotta know. So I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue. Get some glazed gray. See how it's just like a glaze? That's the gray. And then come down here. And because it's a glaze and you can see what's through underneath, it does tend to look like a see-through little shadow. It's not a lot of color. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of adding a little bit of shadow under the hat and at the back of his head just a bit. but not too much. Barely over the little blushing, but if you can see that, then what does that do? That lets that be a little more in shadow. And come here, and you could use black here if you didn't like this color, if you were just trying. But I like this as a way to shade as well, so I enjoy it. A little bit under that rim. I feel like that's almost like a beauty mark, so I'm going to kind of blend that out. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I'm going to put some little shading under his little fringes too. And a little bit down here. All right. Let's call that a step. Now I'm going to come back into my titanium white and yellow ochre with a little cad yellow and burnt sienna sort of hat mix that I had going, making a very light hat front. Kind of highlighting that. And also a little bit the front of his hat in this way as well. Kind of bring it around, curve it around. What a fun little straw hat. Don't you think you have a lovely straw hat? I think he thinks he's a lovely straw hat. So I'm going to come here and grab a little bit of my phthalo blue and my phthalo green and a little titanium white. I don't think I want it necessarily as dark as it is, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of my zinc. And kind of lighten some of the darker checks. Can you see how I'm doing? But I'm using the zinc to do it. So it's just a little more aqua. I just don't want it to be quite so dark. And another thing that I can do is I can come in and like some of it. I'm going to lighten it like a little bit on him so it's a little bit lightened. And then you just play with it. You can always put dark checks back in so you can play with your checks. You can lighten some and darken others and really make this quite a little boutique-y scarf. Once you get your first checks in, it's getting that first check in that's super duper hard. Now I'm going to come here and grab some of my lighter color again. Phthalo green, phthalo blue, titanium white. More titanium white. I'm just highlighting some of the little petals on the flowers and see how that just boom. You're like, oh. Just right across the top of the hat with a highlight, and then just blend something back, right? And the reason we're blending it back is what are we constantly talking about? We're talking about the light that is reflecting, and the thing about snow is it's very monochromatic. When we're going to paint so many snow scenes this winter, not just holiday scenes, but in our winter, we're going to paint a lot of snow scenes too, and it's really about the monochromatic nature of the subject. There was a little bumple off the hat that I was not feeling. Now I can take this moment and grab my, did we call it a new step already? Okay, we should call it a new step. I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo green and phthalo blue. Make some little fringe, kind of like dark fringe coming off. Little downward strokes, dark fringe coming off. We won't really see it until our light fringe comes on. But that's what we're doing. We're making dark fringe. The shadowed fringe. The shadow fringe. Just little flicking strokes just to show the little fluffy fringe. Fluffy fringe, my friends. Now a little burnt sienna. And my Mars black. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing we did in the drawing. I'm going to make a little twig coming out from beside him. Notice how I gave him that little twiggy elbow there. Don't forget their twiggy little elbows. They got twiggy little elbows and they love you for it. You gotta love them that they got the twiggy little elbow. Come out. See, so this one's a little bit thicker. It kind of implies the hand and the little twigs coming out from it, right? And this one coming here and down and then coming up makes it feel like a hand. It's just got that shape, like we talked about in the drawing segment. Now this one comes down a little bit. And notice that I gave it a little downward twig, didn't I? Because I'm trying to say to the viewer, oh, hey, this is a branch. It looks like a hand, my friend, but it is not a hand. So this little kind of part will come there and then a little bit of that down there. And then I actually like to take a little black and brown. Because I need that deep shadow under the flowers. I'm going to even add some like little leaves here. So watch, if I go, let me get a good load on the tip of my brush. We'll come up with a lighter green to get it to show, but by putting in this dark shadow. So if I zipper out, see how I'm making these little leaf shapes? If I do that now, it will help me later, and I will be glad that I did it. I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to put some fluid out. Not ready to splatter. And I may need to even do a smaller brush. But I just need enough to highlight my thing. So I'm going to take my number 2 Precision. Oh, wait, no. I'm going to do one of my liners. Where's my liner? Here's a liner. So I'm going to do this long liner. This is number 4 Raphael Precision liner. You want a monogram liner, a liner, a round liner, any liner. Take a little bit of my all yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and white. And I'm going to come here. With my little detail brush and add a highlight to my little branchy branch. Woo! I made a boo-boo.
What happened?
I dropped my brush.
Oh.
So I just use water and make it go.
Jumped out of your hand.
It did. Sometimes they do. They jump out of my hands. My brushes jump out of my hands sometimes. I have to accept that reality. Maybe a little glazing medium. So what I'm doing is I'm just improving the flow off of this brush so I can get as fine of a line as I want. By adding a highlight to just the top, I'm really like speaking to the fact that, oh, well, this is wood or this is a twig. I can add a little brown in there over my black, and that also improves the sense that this is maybe a wood. And then if I get right into my white here, but I haven't rinsed my brush, by adding that final highlight on that little twig, I can really make it pop, can't I? And that helps those fingers articulate. You know, we just made sure that that wood stayed wood. Wood stays wood. Now, while we're just here,
Exactly it.
we remember what color carrots are. They are yellow and red. They are orange. We're going to make just a basic orange carrot. Except this carrot could never be basic because it's on this fabulous snowman. It's a shabby chic carrot.
It's not basic.
It is not. Pulling a rounded bit of paint. So put the paint across the top, and then I'm pulling it rounded down, and that creates the weird texture of the carrot. Doesn't it do? A little more yellow, some white. Just make sure it's got a highlight on it. I'm going to rinse that out for just a second. And then I'm going to come in and grab some white into my turquoise color, which again, gentle reminder, is your Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue and white. Just add a little bit off there. He likes that. Thinks that's lovely. Says thank you. So appreciative. Let's call that a step. Now I'm going to take my ultramarine blue, not ultramarine blue, my burnt sienna over to my phthalo green. Mix them together with my liner brush. I'm going to add that dark green. Add some little like branches and leaves down here too, because I want it to be like he just like went into the forest and was like, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to pick some flowers. That's what's happening. I'm going to take some yellow over to this. Glazy medium if I need to improve it for flow. And just put some highlights in some of those leaves. And what is happening is there's contrast, right? And because there's dark and light, it helps us feel those objects take weight. You can do pine branches, you can do any kind of bouquet you want. They're all good, but what you're trying to do is let it take weight. Now I'm going to put this to the side for, well actually no, I can use it for a moment. Let's grab some of our orange that we had. And a little bit of our burnt sienna. See how we're just adding a highlight to the top of the buttons? It is an ellipse on the top, leaving the dark on the sides. That's how we're getting our perspective from that. And get some dark color, I can get some black and brown together, but I do want it to be actively brown. Highlighting our little buttons. And if we just didn't love it enough, we can come over here and grab some of our little yellow ochre. I think there's some cad yellow over there and some titanium white. I'm going to load this on the edge here. Add a little highlight to them. And I'm going to grab a lot more white and come over to my green. Add some even brighter highlights. Just to make sure that it's interesting. Take my liner brush and make it the tiniest little dot I can. Tiniest little dot I can in the eyes. That just helps them come to life. I can even come up at the top of my buttons with a little bit of this white line. Now I'm going to go right into my scarf color with my fluid white. Pick up some very light turquoise. Look at that. Doesn't that just make that pop? It's so fun to dress a snowman. They're fun to dress up. I love it so much. Little flyways. They're so good. Lots of flowers that you could do. I'm going to take my Cad Red. And I am going to draw a little petal. Draw another little petal and make a little star flower. So star flowers are exactly what they sound like. They have 5 petals and they're shaped like a star. And when you understand flowers come in these basic shapes, and then you paint their basic shapes, you realize, oh, I can imply a rose by painting this shape, or I can imply a poinsettia or amaranth. There's a lot that you can apply. So it's, you just paint the star shape. It's a bouquet, so I don't mind if they layer over each other. And then I'm going to kind of open that flower towards the right when I put the highlights on there. And I'm going to put some berries down in the flowers. And I like to run little ribbons because it adds a little motion to the painting. Take a little bit of black. Dot the center. Now, interestingly enough, to get this even done, I will have to dry everything. So dry everything, we'll come back and we'll do our next step, which is really our final step, I think.
All right, we're going to do that. So it'll be a final step, I think. So hopefully, we'll see. And if you guys are checking, we're doing lots of different show content up here. You're going to see simple videos that we're going to continue to put up there, shorter ones. We'll have some longer ones because some folks are liking the longer content, the more sort of the more in-depth one. And thank you, Diane. I just saw you pop up in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't see chat, but John's letting me know what's going on.
Diana just supported us there in Super
Chat. Oh,
thank
you so much for all the ways you guys support us. Thank you so much.
Let me get this up here because I think we have a new step.
We're going to do a new step. We're going to take some burnt sienna and some ultramarine blue. We're going to get back into a kind of our snowman shadow color. Let's put some white over here. When we get it back to where we had him in shadow on this side of him. I'm just going to lighten that line. See how that does? So he's got a little bit of that sort of outsider shabby chic sort of lining, but it's not as bright.
Yeah.
Which I like very, very, very much. Now that is dry, I'm going to take a little bit of my white and my red on my brush. Kind of paint the insides of my flowers. Close that one up by putting little petals on the outside. Then you can kind of see the inside's a dark one. Just a little dimensionality. You don't even have to have this much in there. It's just fun. Because, you know, they flowers. Take a little bit of your yellow. Kind of dotting some on there. That's pretty good, and we're doing very, very well. Now, here's the big trick. We're going to take a little piece of tape or a paper towel or anything, and I'm just very carefully sort of covering up these features. And, you know, and even less than that, I really want to, I'm going to actually kind of, I need to replace these anyway, so I'm just going to go over this eye a little bit and this eye. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want the splatters to hit my eyes, so he needs to wear some glasses or we're going to be in troubles.
Some splatter protection.
Right? And remember, you can also tie him up if you want to like come and add a little bit of a tie to that. So you can come between his little fingers and tie it. So don't feel like you can't. Okay. Now I'm going to use my splatter brush. I'm going to find a spot on my canvas. I can put this out. I'm going to use fluid paint. I have a whole video on different ways to create this effect. I've got the 2-brush whack method. I've got the flicking method. We've got with thinned paint. We've got with fluid paint. This is my favorite method for creating snow. I think you will love it. And the first one is I'm going to go like this. This is a 2-method way. So I got it on the brush. And I just flick this out, and I want big drops and small drops. You just flick it till it's snowing as much as you want it to be snowing in your painting. I probably will not be finishing my coffee now that I've done this or my food. So be aware of food and other things in your life that could be messing with your finished result. And then if all things went well, when you remove your little thing, his expression isn't lost to the snow flurry. So that's really what you're trying to do, is just protect yourself in the snow flurry. And because I've got my glazing medium out and my red and brown, I'm going to make a dark kind of red, so it will show, but it won't be the most noticeable thing, and I'm just doing this for the signature. I hope you enjoy learning how to draw and paint a snowman. I'm going to try to get in and make some shorts. I got some ideas like on how to draw snowmen and different stuff that you guys could like then just do quick checks on. We've got the chickens coming up next class, and I think we're going to do some how to do winter techniques, and we're going to do some how to handle the blending tools and everything so we can get better results from our stuff. You're going to love snowing up your paintings. You can do this, by the way, you know that ghost trend? I really love the ghost trend. I've been living on TikTok for a long time, and there is, I want you to search ghost trend or ghost painting and go on Etsy and look at the Victorian ghost Etsy. Like there's a ghost with an umbrella. It's been up there for like, I don't know. Oh gosh, couple of years, and it's just cute as could be. And I've been looking at those, and I'm all this sort of ghost trend stuff. And I was like, we could do that with snowmen too. Same thing. Same exact thing. So go there, get inspiration, because it's super duper fun. And we're going to be putting snowmen in all kinds of unexpected scenes this winter wonder. So you're going to see a lot of snowmen. And I highly encourage you, if you want to continue that Halloween trend, go out, grab a vintage painting, paint one of these little snowmen on it, snow up the painting, and post it and tag me in. I'd love to see it because I think it'd be fun. Let's keep this really fun thing going. And to that end, there's a code. There's a coupon code. So use the coupon code. It's only good for a limited time, but on orders over $34, it makes the shipping free, and which I think is pretty great. And you can check out these brushes that I demoed or any of these materials you saw on the show. I want you to have fun. Guys, be good to yourselves. Seriously, be good to each other. And I want to see you at the Measle really soon. Bye-bye.